Welcome back, everyone, to probably one of the most epic revenge stories ever. Now, if you don't know, I am very new to Rust, and in fact, I had only been playing for a few days. I spent the last few days trying to gather scrap, and I built up a pretty decent base. Now, one of the days, while I was out mining scrap, I made a stop at the gas station to recycle some of the components to get more scrap. I decided to go down this ladder here because there's a few crates that spawn down here, and sometimes they can have good stuff in it. It's also a good sign when you see them because that means there hasn't been anyone in that area in a while. Or so I thought. Unfortunately for me, I made a grave mistake that was going to turn out with my death. Now, this is the middle of the story, so let me give a little bit of backstory here. I had been farming this main road starting from the south and traveling up towards the gas station. As you already know, as soon as I got to the gas station and started recycling, bam! I was killed. I was devastated. I was ambushed, and I felt like I needed to go and get my stuff back. So I respawned in my nearest base, which was just a minor outpost for me, so it really didn't have much. So I grabbed everything that I could. I grabbed a bow and arrow, a couple basic tools, and I headed out to see if I could at least try to get my stuff back. Now, this base is to the north, so I decided to sneak around the back of the gas station and try to come in and get my stuff back. And as soon as I saw my body, boom! Again, I died. Now, this would be the end of the story for most players. But not me. I respawned in my base and I brought everything. I mean, literally everything that I could think of that would help out. I brought grenades, my double barrel, my Tommy gun, and these were the best weapons that I had, and these are actually the only copies. So I came around again and I was looking for the guy, and these rocks on the left is where I encountered him. But this time he was a naked. Mr. Kill You and Steal Your Loot Twice is a naked running around, which means if I killed him at this point, he would have nothing on him. He probably went back to his base, and I wanted to find out where it was. So I stuck around and waited for him to return to the gas station, and return he did. I saw him come around the rocks and enter through the front, and he was pretty geared up, so I figured I'd use the cover of night to sneak up on him, but unfortunately, he climbed onto the roof and ran out through the east side of the station. He kept running across the street and went in a straight line through the desert. Now, I tried to give chase, but like I said, it was dark and I had no flashlight on me. I did, however, know one thing, that his base was in this area. So I went back to my base and decided that this is now a game changer. I knew that he had a base somewhere in that area and I was going to find it. So I brought as many raiding supplies as I could and headed out to the desert. I knew roughly where it was, and when I got close, lo and behold, off in the distance is a tiny little wooden base, which is exactly what I was hoping for. If it had been stone or higher, I probably couldn't have raided it because I didn't have enough explosives. However, I did have with me my flamethrower, which would easily cut through and burn through this wood structure. So I was excited, I was geared up to go ahead and raid this guy. Now, as you can see, he's got a double airlock, at least so I thought. I mean, that's the typical design for it, and I figured his loot room had to be somewhere either in the back, in this corner, or possibly this corner here. I figured it's more likely that he's gonna have everything tucked in this back corner here, so I decided, let's go ahead and burn it down. Now, it took a lot of gas to get through there, but it also took a lot more time because you can't just keep spraying it on there. You have to let it burn through. If you just keep spraying it, you're gonna waste it. And thanks to the magic of video editing, something that took me a very long time takes you guys just a few seconds. Now, towards the end, I got this really long burn right here. It actually was the longest burn out of anything that I'd done so far, and it brought it super low. If it wasn't for this one, I probably would have ran out of gas. In just a few more seconds, we would be inside of this base, and I had no idea what was inside waiting. I didn't know if the guy was in there AFK, if we were gonna get into some kind of stone wall. I had no idea what the inside of this base looked like, but we're about to find out. Oh, beautiful. There's the TC. Not only did I find the TC, but his loot room itself was wide open. I waited patiently for the flames to go away, and then I took out his sleeping bag to make sure that he would have to run back here. Just in case he died somewhere else, I didn't want him respawning inside the base while I was working. My next task was to get rid of TC so that I could get build privileges for this base and claim it as my own, but I ran out of fuel. So I started looking through the loot crates to see what I could find. Unfortunately, there was no fuel there, and I stepped into the fire in my excitement. So I still needed fuel. I needed something to be able to destroy TC with, but there was nothing in sight that I could use. I tried grabbing whatever loot I could find, and to be honest, there really wasn't much in here. Just a couple small things, but that's when I saw it. It's my rad suit, the one that I went out earlier with, and the guy killed me. That was also my bow and arrows. That was all my backup equipment that he had taken from me. Now, I knew this axe wasn't gonna work, so I had to run back to my base to get more materials, and I knew that I could get through it, but I would need more time, and I didn't want to use explosives, so I had to get more fuel, but I didn't want to burn it at night, and since it was getting dark, I'd have to wait till morning. I found my way back to the base, and as soon as the sun started shining, I lit up TC. I knew I had to get that thing destroyed, because if I didn't, then the owner could just come right back and lock me inside this base, and I would lose everything. Just like that, TC broke, and I stole all the contents of it. There wasn't a ton, but there was enough to be able to fortify myself inside this base. I quickly threw up a wall, and then really quickly realized that in my haste, I had locked myself inside of his base. I don't have door control just because I took his base, and now I started freaking out. I found some low-grade fuel in the tin can lamp on the wall and decided to try to start burning my way out because that was my only option, but there just wasn't enough. I also knew the owner could be back, so I put his research table in front of the door so that he couldn't get through that. It was kind of like a little barrier to make sure that if he came back, at least he couldn't just push into the base, kill me, and have his base back. I kept working on the wall, but unfortunately now I was completely out of low-grade fuel. I also realized I didn't drop TC, so I put that down quickly to make sure that the base was mine. After that, I built a little retaining wall and a door to lock myself in here, but then Skype rang. It ate up precious minutes of my time. By the time I got off the call, I quickly threw down the locked door so that I would at least have a room in case the owner got back in. And then I went back to trying to break down that wall, which took a few different axes, but it was a lot faster from the inside versus having to do it from the outside because we were working on the soft side of the wall. Now, right before I broke through the wall, I decided to do a little bit of housekeeping. I tried rearranging stuff, and that's when I heard it. Right outside the base was somebody running. It was probably the owner of the home because who else would be in this area? I could hear him running all around the house, trying to figure out what had happened. He could tell something wasn't right, and I could hear him jumping up and down, probably trying to look on the roof to see how I got in since I put the wall back. I'm guessing this player was new to Rust and didn't know that if someone breaks your TC, they can steal your base. Now, this was my first time ever raiding a base, and to be 100% honest with you, I was shaking. I was so nervous, my adrenaline was flowing, and I just couldn't think straight. In my mind, I knew that this guy was gonna get in here, and it was only a matter of time, so I started freaking out. I'm trying to like place tool chests and stuff just to store stuff in, and I'm like, well, should I fight him? Should I stay and hide? What do I do? I had no idea what to do. I kind of just froze here. That's why I'm just sitting there. And then I heard a sound I hoped I never would. He's shooting arrows inside the base at the broken wall. He knew that that wall was weakened because he was walking around checking it out, and he knew that he could get in, and get in he did. One arrow is all it took, and he had clear access to the base. Now, luckily, I made this little door here, and unfortunately for me, he launched a fire arrow as I was trying to build some doors, and got off a shot on me. I was bleeding out, had 4 health left. I had looked in my inventory. I couldn't find any medical stuff. I had nothing. So I just sat there and was trying to quickly throw stuff in chests, but wasn't paying attention, and I died. And that was the end of the raid, or so I thought. I thought it was all over. I could hear him shooting arrows at the wooden door, so I did the only thing that I could. I typed kill in console and quickly respawned at my base that was right next to his raid, and I had nothing there. That I grabbed the only gear and weapons that I had, which was just a crap bow. I only had 5 arrows to try to counter raid on my raid. Things were going crazy, and then out of nowhere an arrow flies my direction. So he saw me, he knew I was there, and I figured this is it. There's no way I can take him out, but I still tried. I ran up close to see if I could get a better shot off being closer. I also had a door down just in case the wall was still up, and I didn't know at the time it had already been broken, but I was running out of arrows and literally had no other choices. I had one single arrow left that I was going to try to take him down with, and if that failed, it was basically game over. So I said, screw it, let me see if I can try to run across and put this door on real quick, but no good. I was dead. So I quickly typed kill in console, and this time I went back to my main base and grabbed literally every gun I could find. Now, at this point in the game, I haven't been playing very much, and I'm not very good at the game, so the best weapons that I had were literally my double barrel shotgun and a Tommy gun, as well as a couple bean can grenades and this little salvage sword that I had. I really didn't have much, but I grabbed the best stuff that I could, and I thought there's no way. By the time I get there, he's gonna be through that door. I thought the raid was over. I needed help from the Rust gods, and just like that, I literally had to turn around and do a double take because there was a horse standing right next to the road. This was perfect. I hopped on the horse, and I quickly ran back to the base. I was hoping that it wasn't too late. As soon as I got close, I hopped off the horse and started running over to the base to see if it was too late. I could see him in the distance running around, and it was flat and open, so I had to hug this cliff wall until I got close enough. When I got close, I thought this was it. I figured he had to have been through that door by now. It had been a couple minutes, and I thought that I was just completely out of luck. But the closer I got, I started hearing the sound of some work being done. And it was the sound of him trying to whack his way through the door. Take a listen. Oh my god, the sweet sounds of victory. He had no idea I was there. I crouched the entire way, and I knew at any second he could stop, turn around, and check outside, and my raid could be over. But I snuck up, and as soon as I turned the corner, boom, I got him. He was down inside the base, and I thought, yes, my luck has changed. I quickly grabbed all the loot that I could. Clearly, he picked up everything that I had, and he was trying to get into the base, and all of my loot was still there. I was worried he might have looted me through the wall, but he didn't. Everything was there. Now, I was in a scramble. I was really trying to get this stupid wall built and fortified. Unfortunately for me, I forgot to grab the blueprints, and that little bit of delay caused it so that he respawned and was shooting arrows back at me. In my haste, I forgot to bring extra shotgun shells, so I had no extra shells to reload my shotgun with, and I started freaking out. I started looking around and realizing, wait a second, where'd my Tommy gun go? I brought a Tommy gun with me. Where the heck is it? I can't find it anywhere in my inventory. I'm frantically looking around trying to find it. I see this little revolver there, and I'm like, I guess I might be able to use that, and then I realized I swapped it in this bag here when I was getting the hammer earlier. So I pulled out the Tommy gun. I knew this was it. If I didn't take him out now, this whole thing was going to come to a violent end, and I was going to lose everything, so I said, screw it. It's too much pressure to bear. I tried waiting him out. I could hear him walking around outside, and I knew it was going to be him or me. He just looted his body. He took all the gear off, so I knew this was the perfect time. Ran out and sprayed him down, and he was dead. I took this moment to quickly build the wall and fortify it immediately. I figured there's no way he could respawn in the same bed because there is a timer, so you can't just keep instantly respawning. So I knew I had a little bit of time if he didn't have another sleeping bag nearby, but it was too late. I got the door down, I got it in, I was entering the pin, and boom, it is now completely locked down. He had no way to get back inside of this base unless he breaks down that bench, and we will revisit that bench a little bit later in the video. You guys are not going to want to miss what I did there. And now it's cleanup time. It's time for me to go out and see what kind of loot he had. I figured I still had a little bit of time left before he was able to come back, and I went out to see what he had, and there really was not much on him. I ended up just taking his crossbow, and that was pretty much the end of the story. I realized I couldn't get back in either. Luckily, I had the hammer on me, so I was able to pick this up and get back in. Now, I placed it quickly back down because I didn't want him to be able to get back in and take any of his loot back, but that was it, guys. This wasn't the end of the story, however. I did spend a bit more time going through all all of the loot, putting everything in the TC that I could, and trying to get things organized, because as of right now, there was just way too much stuff in the area, and I needed to figure out what stuff would go with me during which runs, because I'd have to take multiple trips out of this base in order to get all of the loot out properly, because I didn't want to lose a single piece of anything because of how much effort I had to go through to get this completed. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that is to break his body and take his skull as a trophy of conquering his entire base. Guys, I was so excited. I had successfully defended his counter raid on his own base, and I was pretty happy that there's no way he's getting back in here. And I realized that it would be nice to have a second exit, so I quickly built a second exit out the back. That way, instead of just having the one door to come in and out of, I would be able to have a second door as well as my own little airlock to be able to get into the base with. Even though I had like a technically my own airlock inside anyways, this kind of worked out better, and I was feeling a little bit better, but I didn't have materials to upgrade it, so I stole some of the little metal frags and used those to upgrade the base. I mean, what did I care? It was the spoils of victory, and I just quickly upgraded this entire base to metal, well, at least the important parts, and now the base was completely locked down. Throwing a lock on the back door was the final finishing touch. I really didn't have a need for this base. I just wanted to make sure I had a quick and safe way out of the base. After that, I went and upgraded the rest of the base, at least the loot room, to metal to make it a lot harder for this guy to raid. And I'll probably come back and throw some extra metal frags into the chest, into the TC, to make sure it lasts a bit longer. But it was time to leave. I could hear the guy outside mining and doing other stuff, so I knew he was going to try to get back in here. And since he had been quiet for a while, I grabbed all of the best loot and figured I'd come back for everything that was in the TC in the second run. But this way, I had all the important stuff. So with that said, I basically went out my airlock, take a quick look around to see if he's there. He's not. Grabbed the horse that I left by the door, and I was on my way to my base. Now, guys, this is the end of the story. This is how I got revenge on a guy that killed me twice and stole all my stuff and then laughed about it. So this should go to show, guys, don't ever laugh, because you never know who's gonna go too far to hunt you down and get all of their stuff back. But if you guys had fun, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you stuck around this long in the video, I've got one more little bonus surprise for, well, it's a surprise for you, and it's gonna be a surprise for him as well. Let me show you what I did. I decided that I wanted to leave a little going away present, and I wanted it to go out with a bang. So I grabbed one of these landmines I got earlier in the day from a supply drop, and just in case you lack the creativity to figure out exactly where I was going to place this, let me show you. I went back to his airlock and placed it right inside of his double door airlock, so if he went back inside the base, he would have a very bad time. I grabbed the rest of the stuff from the TC and dropped down to bed just in case I wanted to respawn in here at any time, and left the base for possibly the last time. Farewell, base. I hardly knew you. If you guys had fun today, again, don't forget to drop a like on the video. It really does do a lot, and subscribe if you guys want to see more stuff like this. Let me know if you have any Rust tips, because again, I'm a super Rust noob. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys again next time. Goodbye, everybody.